Let's discuss some Spurs news and notes that you may have missed, and then buy or sell. Spurs rebuild done in about 2 to 3 years.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs, Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for KENS 5 San Antonio. I'm glad to have y'all back, and happy Thursday, everybody. One more day and the weekend will be upon us. Friday, and then that's it. Hey, as always, we're making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, KENS 5 Plus app, pick a platform. We are there. It's brought to you by PrizePicks. You got to get PrizePicks right now. The easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for first deposit match up to $100. What are we talking about today? You can see it on your screen right there. We're going to be doing some Spurs news and notes you may have missed. And then buy or sell, the Spurs rebuild will be done in about 2 to 3 years. At least that's what Danny Green thinks. So we're going to be discussing what the former Spurs have to say about the rebuild and more with our guest, Mike Himenez. Yeah, Mr. Acquired Taste himself of the Alamocity Sportscast Network. We're going to be joining him, and then we're going to be discussing you guys, the Locked On Spurs fan comments, in just a few minutes. And perhaps the big news that you may have missed, and you're probably going to want to write this down, the Spurs will be hosting a draft party. Yeah, the 2024 Spurs official draft watch party will be on June 26th. If you're in San Antonio, that's at the Rock at Locked On. It begins at 6 p.m., so make sure you get there. And then the broadcast will begin at 7 p.m. Now, Spurs have picks 4 and 8, so keep that in mind. And they're going to be raffling free autograph memorabilia. The Coyote's going to be there. There's going to be merch. It's free, open to all ages. And you don't have to RSVP, but it's recommended you do. If you want to text draft SA or to 210-444-5050. Food and beverages available for purchase as well. So yeah, what a way to see the newest members of the Spurs if they keep their draft picks in San Antonio with other Spurs fans. They got a 40-foot LED screen over there at the Frost Plaza. If you're in San Antonio, make sure you go down to the Frost Plaza at the Rock at Lock Ontario to join fellow Silver and Black fans to cheer on the Spurs at the NBA Draft 2024. In other Spurs news, the Spurs will face the Orlando Magic at the Frost Center for a preseason matchup on October 9th at 7 p.m. Central. So already got a preseason game in Miami, and then the Magic will be coming to San Antonio. Preseason schedule slowly leaking out. I can't believe it's already about that time. Preseason talk. Wow. Next thing you know, the games are going to be here just right around the corner. But yeah, so for those of y'all looking to circle some games on your calendar, there's a preseason matchup against the Magic this October. You know, we're just talking about the NBA draft. Well, the NBA has released the official Spurs draft day cap. It's out and available right now. Price points start around $34.99. Now, what are they? Well, they feature a tan, kind of a brown hood, the part right here. And then the brim is black. And then right across the stripe right here, it's the Spurs logo and it's the SATX Spurs. So that is your draft day cap. If you want to see what they look like, you want to go to kens5.com/Spurs right now. You see my article there. Can't miss it. Got a picture of the draft cap for everybody to see. It looks pretty cool. I'm not too much of a fan of it. And I know I'm not a big fan of brown caps. I like black, as y'all know. But it's there. Some Spurs fans do like it. They've been saying they got to get it. Let me know what you think. Is it a cop or not? Again, it's on kens5.com/Spurs. So yeah, they come in different sizes, kid sizes, adults, adjustable, fitted, all that stuff. But there it is. That will be the cap that the newest members of the Spurs, again, if they keep their picks, will be wearing across the stage in Brooklyn when the NBA draft arrives. Just 13 more days now until the big night. All right, there you have it. Some quick Spurs news and notes. When we get back, we're going to be joined by our guest, Michael Himenez. He'll be joining us again. We're going to be discussing or buying or selling if Danny Green is right, that the rebuild will only take 2 to 3 years. Is that too quick? We're going to be discussing that up next right here on Locked On Spurs. But first, I want to talk about Game Time. You want to go to Game Time right now. Get last minute tickets without all that hassle by going to Game Time. Game Time makes getting NBA final tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip off. With killer last minute deals, views from your seat, lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. So Let's tell you more about it. So that all-in pricing, you get a toggle, and you see a feature on there that shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. The seat views, you get panoramic views from your seat in the app before you buy. What about flash deals? Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. And last minute deals, save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. And look, the game time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered by the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app right now. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Now, terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That'll get you $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Also want to talk about Mudslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee. If you're in San Antonio, go there right now. 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. It's in the 281 to 1604 area. Take a drive out there right now. Or if you're close by, swing by there real quick because they got all the drinks you want. They're a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs. Proud community member of San Antonio, serving San Antonio the best drinks in the city. What do they got? Well, they got dairy alternatives. They have signature coffee drink like the Mudslinger. They have, what else? Lattes, cold brews. I mean, pick something you like. They'll have it there. Even mini donuts. They got it all. And by the way, those mini donuts are here are fire. Very, very good. What else they got? Well, they got this Lightning Bolt series. That includes the Alien, which is a drink made in honor of Victor Wembanyama. They get you supercharged all day. Now, look, let me tell you right now. They're going to be using Lotus Energy right now as a default. It's not going to be Red Bull anymore, but Red Bull will be there if you want that. But the default will be Lotus Energy. 7 power plant extracts, has the similar effects as Red Bull, but again, with those 7 power plant extracts, it gives you the flexibility, it gives them the flexibility to create new drinks. But again, go there right now, get yourself one of those Lightning Bolt drinks that'll power you all day or get you going to start your day. What more do you want to know? San Antonio, go there right now. 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Follow them on social media at Mudslinger SATX. Do that right now because life is too short for bland coffee.
A Jedi uses the Force. To subscribe to Locked On Spurs, pass on what you have learned.
And we're now back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Grizzly Adams. That ain't Grizzly Adams. It's Michael Himenez. You know him. He's back, everybody. Showing off the scruff. Jimenez, I've never seen you with scruff. Are you going for a new look here, the lumberjack look?
It's a possibility, man. I had a 4-day vacation, forgot the razor, got back today, and it's just one of those things where I hadn't shaved, and I thought, you know what? I don't have any client meetings for a few days. Let's rock it for a few more days. So we'll see what it looks like, man. Maybe I'll be a goatee guy. We'll never see. We'll never know.
You know what? I cannot grow facial hair at all. I can't even grow a mustache, nothing. That's one of my things I regret in life. I just to see what I look like in a goatee. Let's just say everybody that knows me that say, nah, the clean cut looks more you, Jeff.
Well, this is the first time I've tried this in about 10 or 15 years. I always shave every day. Worst case scenario, every other day. So for this to be 3 days out, 4 days out, it's different, but I'm trying it. People are giving compliments, even though I think it's patchy. People are giving compliments, so we'll see what it looks like at the end of the week.
Are you really gonna let it grow out, or are you gonna take care of that ASAP?
I'm gonna let it grow out for a few more days.
Okay. Do you think the ladies will like it?
You know what? It's a different look, right? Different look, different attitude. Maybe I'll look different in clothes with it on. Different. Maybe the button up looks a little bit different with the goatee compared to without it. I don't know. Maybe it's a new personality.
It's evil Himenez. It's your evil twin. Like Michael Knight in Knight Rider, he had Michael Knight, and then he had his evil twin. It was just David Hasselhoff in a mustache. That was it. Yeah. This is evil Himenez. You got to debut him on. You got to debut him on your show on the Alamocity Sportscast there on YouTube. Yes, everybody, he is back. We missed you, Jimenez, but I know you've been busy with the work life. You've been just out of town, flying everywhere, but we're glad you're back. Make sure to follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste and check out his show on the Alamocity Sports Podcast Network on YouTube, but he'll talk about that later on the show. Jimenez, it is the off season. About the big highlight, it's right around the corner. That's the NBA draft. But we're going to table that for a while because we've been talking about that a lot on Locked On Spurs, drafting and offseason stuff. But we're going to look at the big picture now of when this could be over. when this whole rebuild could be over. And Danny Green was a guest recently on San Antonio Sportscast, The Blitz, and he gave his opinion on when he thinks the Spurs rebuild would end. And he's confident that this rebuild is going to finish as early as in 2 more seasons. And that is it. Are you buying or selling what Danny Green had to say about the Spurs rebuild?
I'm buying it. I'm buying it. And, big props to Jason Minix and Joe Reinick. It was a fantastic interview that they did on the Blitz. And Danny Green is basically the better that Wemby becomes, the more it's going to be for certain players of a certain mindset to want to go over and play for the Spurs. And I was thinking about it a little bit over the past week or so as to the type of player that would need to be done. Maybe it's an international player. I know you and James Pledger on Spurs were talking about Lauri Markkanen. I think that international players have an affinity for San Antonio. I think international players don't care that it's a small market. So when I hear the name Lauri Markkanen, I think to myself, even though he has been in the United States for so long, I think it's a mindset that makes it palatable for them to be in a small market. So, and then also keep in mind, though this is considered to be a weak draft class and it's considered to be a weak free agency class, 2025, the stars are coming out, man. Lots of solid free agents in 2025. Also a very, very star-studded draft as well. Spurs have their own pick. Atlanta's unprotected. Chicago's top 10 protected, and Charlotte's top 14. And you take a look at that, and I'm just saying the rebuild could be over in 2 seasons. I think Danny Green's on the right track.
Yeah, he projected even maybe a 3rd season, but he in a nutshell, he just said it's going to go by quickly. And you hit it on the head. Danny hit it on the head. It's all about the Wemby effect. He thinks Wemby is going to be the big reason why the rebuild is sped up. But doesn't that kind of go against what the Spurs, Brian Wright, Peter J. Holt, I should say, have been saying that no, we want to take our time with this. We're gonna slow cook this. That I don't know why they're going to want to slow cook it when they can speed it up. And you heard rumors about Trae Young to San Antonio. Well, those kind of cooled off. DeJounte Murray rumors, that's cooled off. Darius Garland, maybe. Lauri Markkanen, Vegas believes Spurs are his next stop. But ultimately, those are big names that you'll have to wheel and deal for. Do you think the Spurs will finally make big blockbuster moves to match up what Danny Green's projecting 2 to 3 year rebuild?
Well, the better that Victor Wembanyama becomes, the more it becomes his team. And we are in a superstar league. I know we're under the impression that RC and Peter J. Holt and Pop are going to be running things. But make no mistake, the person who runs things in this organization will be Victor Wembanyama. And because of that, if he wants it sped up, it's going to be sped up. They're not going to tell a budding superstar, especially if Wemby becomes a top 5 player in the league, to just hold your horses, because at this point,
well, they did it already in his rookie season. They already told him to hold his horses.
Wemby was a rookie.
Yeah.
He's never been an all-star. I know he was 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year, won Rookie of the Year. But as he starts getting these accolades, as he starts getting better and better, he's going to become more demanding. And I think Spurs fans need to be more understanding and aware of that superstars get superstar treatment and superstars get to have certain demands that other players don't get. If he's a top 5 player, he needs to have that help now. It's not going to be one of those things of we're just going to build through the draft at all times. At some point, the Spurs need to make a move. And I'm looking at the roster for the Spurs. They have to make a move for several reasons. First, we have 2 first-rounders this year, 2 to 4 next season. The Spurs have 3 players who have team options coming up pretty soon when it comes to Sohan Wesley and Malachi Branham. The Spurs are running out of space on the roster. We already have Vassell locked down. We have Keldon locked down. We have Zach Collins locked down. The Spurs are running out of space. And at some point, they need to offload some of these players or they have to offload some of these draft picks. And hopefully they do it for a good free agent. You're only allowed 15 spots on this roster.
Yeah. Well, a 2 to 3 rebuild would be pretty quick, all things considering. Look at Denver. It took them about 6-7 years just to get things going. Houston, maybe they seem to be starting to come out of the tunnel already. They had a good close of the season. Oklahoma City definitely out of their rebuild. They're in Western Conference Finals. But to do that, that would be a testament to the Spurs if they could do it in 2 to 3 years. But what would constitute coming out of a rebuild? Is it just simply play in? We're in the play in. See, we're out of the rebuild. Or is it a 1 through 6 playoffs guaranteed spot or a long, deep playoff run? What constitutes an exit of the rebuild?
I think that's a great question. I think Spurs fans were so used to 50-win seasons. A 50-win season would get you in the top 6. So I'd basically say a top 6 finish would make that happen. 7 or 8.
Wait, you're saying just making the playoffs equals out of rebuild?
Yes, because you're back
Okay.
in the mix. You're back in the mix at that point. And you look at the Mavericks, for example, who I believe were 11th in the West last season. Weren't even in the play-in, making the NBA Finals this year. It is possible to rebuild on the fly. They did it with 2 superstars in Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. Spurs have 1 superstar and a collection of pieces and a pretty decent player in Devin Vassell. You start adding a piece, a Lauri Markkanen, a Garland, a DeJounte, a Trae Young, just get somebody off of free agency, because the rebuild's not going to happen solely by the draft. It's just impossible to field a team that way, and especially the year 2024. And we're on a timeline, man. I mean, the fact of the matter is that we're entering year 2 of Wemby's contract. I don't see them having a winning season this year, so then we're going to be entering the second half of his first deal with the team. At some point, you got to do something to appease him. And he's being a good guy. He's being a good teammate, good role model within the team. But at some point, if you are a superstar, you need to be treated like a superstar, not like just some other player who's a third-year player in the NBA. Superstars get superstar treatment. LeBron is treated different than other players. Luka Doncic is treated different than other players. Luka Doncic wanted help. He got Kyrie. Jokic wanted help. He got other players to go over there, Aaron Gordon and whatnot, to go over there. Superstars get to call the shots a little bit and saying that they want to get help. I'm not saying that he's going to be the de facto GM. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that he can maybe force the issue because he is the star, and he needs to be treated as such.
Yeah.
The idea that this is Pop's team to run and it's Pop's way or the highway, that is all nonsense, man. That all died 10 years ago.
I look at this Spurs team and I love the position that Brian Wright has put them in. He's been a great job at putting them in position to be major players in this offseason, at the draft, at the trade deadline next year. But will he take the next step and make something happen? Now, he's taking some smaller steps, but they were big to put them in position. Derek White to Boston, DeJounte to Atlanta. Even smaller ones like Thad Young and Drew Eubanks to Toronto for a first-round pick. I mean, crazy. So kudos to him. But now it's man, do we say he's on the clock right now? Is he on the clock right now?
He is most definitely.
Okay.
I mean, because you take a look at the trade that you're talking about, and Jakob Poeltl is another trade. DeMar DeRozan is another trade as well. So he has been a willing trade partner out there. But the whole idea is, well, we got to do something with the draft capital, right? Brian Wright buys himself some time because he can look at it and say, well, we've got between 2 and 4 first rounders next year, 2 this year, and we got to swap in 26 and 2 first rounders in 27. You can keep going on and on and on, but at some point you need to do something with those picks. You either need to trade them or draft a good player with them. Spurs had 3 first rounders a couple of seasons ago, right? Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley, Jeremy Sohan. I mean, all 3 players have shown flashes of something, but can we look at that draft and go, hey, with those 3 first rounders, we hit a home run? 3 first round draft picks. And eventually the Spurs are going to have team options on them. And at some point, you take a look at this year with the number 4 and the number 8 pick. Are they picking the right guys? Brian Wright, I would say, is on the clock effectively at the end of June this year, when the Spurs are on the clock at number 4, number 8. What are they going to do? And it's such a crazy draft because no one knows how this is going to unfold. I mean, there is no tier 1 in it.
There isn't.
If you want to say Sarr is going to be the number 1 overall pick, if you want to say that it's going to be Reece Shea, it's going to be Reed Shepard,
Klingon, sure.
Klingon. Dude, we have no idea who's going number 2, no idea who's going number 3. The Spurs might be sitting there at 4 with a really big decision on their hands. And I'm excited for it. But, man, Brian Wright, you're on the clock, baby.
And if Danny Green's projection of 2 to 3 year rebuild comes to fruition, then that's a big testament to the Spurs scouting department, Peter J. Holt, but Brian Wright. Brian Wright has to make those moves, those big deals to get this team. We talk about Brian Wright when he's on the clock. We're seeing this year. I think he was on the clock the moment Wemby arrived. That's when he was on the clock. We got to get a team around this guy ASAP. And you look at what Wemby said during his Rookie of the Year award presentation in San Antonio. I want to win now. He repeats that, and he keeps repeating that. You can't tell me he's seen guys like Chet Holmgren making the playoffs, seeing what's going on in Dallas and Boston right now. But those two teams needed time to cook and get there. Wemby has to understand that. Himenez, Brian Wright could bring in all these guys. Let's just say he does. Yeah, Laurie, come on in. Darius, come on in. Trading Keldon, whatnot, and everything. And we got ourselves a good team. I mean, sure, but that I don't think just because he brings in new big parts equals playoff success as early as next season. I mean, is that pushing it too much? Let's just say he gets Markkanen or Garland, or he brings in big name players. Can you expect big time success next season in a Western Conference that is stacked?
I'm not expecting it next season. And in fact, I'm not expecting Brian Wright to do much of anything. I think he's going to draft at 4 and 8, and he's going to put all his chips in the middle of the table. I'm a poker player. I've played at the World Series of Poker in one of the events out there. At some point, you can't let the orbit go around. You can't be blinded out of chips, right? Mm-hmm. At some point, you need to go all in. Okay, not Jerry Jones style, but a real all in when you're actually trying to win, right? And the all-in moment for Brian Wright and the Spurs is going to be the summer of 2025 because of the free agency class, because of how strong that draft is going to be, and the fact that the Spurs might have anywhere between 2 to 4 first-rounders. That is going to be the point that the Spurs need to go all in. They can't go beyond that, right? The clock is on right now, but the clock effectively ends July of next year. Mm-hmm. We'll know the direction of this team, and we'll know the direction of Brian Wright's career with the Spurs based on what he does over the course of the next 13 to 14 months.
Yeah.
Because you have to be all in by 2025. You have to. You got to do something. Yeah. You can't just flip pieces and go, oh, well, we're picking up first rounders for 2029 or 2030. No. We need to have pieces now for Wemby because here's the thing. If Wemby was a superstar playing for Houston or playing for Dallas or playing for LA, they'd be doing everything in the world to bring him talent to win right now. Why are the Spurs being different about it? That I don't understand. You need all-stars win games. You need 2 all-stars to be effective in the NBA and to make a run in the playoffs. You need 2. Spurs have 1, and there's nobody else on the roster who's going to be an all-star. Vassell, as much as I love him, as much as I want him on this team, he's going to be a guy that can average 18 to 20 points per game. He'll never be an all-star. Jeremy Sohan will never be an all-star. Keldon will never be an all-star. There's nobody else on the roster who is. So because of that, the Spurs are going to need to get an all-star. And are we going to bank on drafting one and hoping that one develops into one later on down the road? Because nobody on the roster now is that guy. No one is is that guy on this roster. So the Spurs eventually are going to have to bring one in. The Spurs can't surround Wemby with 4 good guys. The Spurs need to surround Wemby with another all-star and then 3 other good guys. You need that second all-star. Tim didn't win it by himself. He won it with Tony. He won it with Manu. Both of them future Hall of Famers. Both of them all-stars. You go back in time, it takes 2. The only time that I've seen it most recently where there's only been like 1 star was 2011 Mavericks? Mm-hmm. The 2004 or 2002 Pistons? You need to have stars, and you need to have multiple all-stars. And the Spurs can't just put decent pieces around Wemby and think that they're going to compete for a championship. They might compete for the playoffs, but not for a championship.
No. He needs a running partner, and that's why Danny Green is right that the running mate that the other running mate needs is already in San Antonio, and that is Wemby. And the Wemby effect is going to really impact that. And I think Wemby is also going to buck the trend of free agents not coming to San Antonio. I think that will change. I think it'll change as soon as the Spurs start winning. I think the Spurs got to start winning, coupled with Wemby's, skyrocketing, NBA career. The trajectory is going. It will bring in those big name free agents. I think that'll happen. And then I'm going to buy light on on Danny Green's projection. I think I like the position they're in. I like the assets they have. I like the flippable players contracts they have right now. They're in a good position. I'm going to buy lightly, cautiously, that this rebuild will be done in 2 to 3 years. But no, I think everything you said is right too, Jimenez. I'm going to buy it there with you. I agree with you as well. He is Michael Himenez. Follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. When we get back, we're going to talk about you guys, Locked On Spurs fans. Comments left on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. That's next right here on Locked On Spurs.
What up, Doc? This is Bugs Bunny, and you are listening to my best friend, Jeff Garcia, host of Locked On Spurs.
I want to talk about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 sports app, fantasy sports app, that is, with more than 5 million members. It's the most fun way, exciting way to get in all the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You pick more or less on 2 or more player stat projections, and you get a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Now, look, what do you want to know about it? Well, here's just a tip of the iceberg of what the PrizePicks app allows you to have fun with and do on that app there. Well, first of all, it's available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. They also offer injury insurance so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured this basketball season. If you have a player that exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, PrizePicks will have your back and not count that as a loss. What else? Well, you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game by watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make PrizePicks lineups in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you're locked in. Promotions, PrizePicks has you covered every week, from lowering select your player entry fees. Well, what else they got? Well, they'll give you so many things, they got 5 million active members. You can get on the finals right now, on more things you can do with a PrizePicks app. NHL, there's just so much you can do with that PrizePicks app. You want to download it right now. Make sure you download that app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, first deposit match up to $100 by using code LOCKEDONNBA. Look, PrizePicks, go there right now. Download it right now. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with evil Michael Himenez. This is evil Michael Himenez, because look at that scruff he has on there. Evil Himenez. Even in Star Trek, they had evil Spock, and all it was just a little goatee he had. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Community had Abed and evil Abed, and it was a goatee.
That's it. So hopefully, we don't want evil Himenez. We like the happy-go-lucky, roll with the punches Himenez. But make sure to follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. Let him know what you think about his scruff. I'm not a fan of it, Himenez, but then again, I can't grow facial hair, so what do I know? I don't even know what's about. Hey, it's time to talk about you guys, Locked On Spurs fans. You guys are leaving tons of comments. We're going to pick 2 and react to them right here. All right, the first one up, Himenez, is from, I got it here. Give me 2 seconds right here. Richard Balderas. He says, what do you think about trading our 4th pick and a player to the Trailblazers for Anthony Simons and their 7th? We could probably draft Holland and connect at number 7. What do you think about that? The Anthony Simons would solve the Spurs' need for a big guard. And you're kind of getting the same players, at least stock-wise, between 4 and 7 there. It's pretty much the same thing. What do you think about that? Do you think the Spurs could make a deal to trade down in the draft to acquire an established player and still pick up another pick?
For a player like Simons, I wouldn't mind it. At least you know what you got.
Yeah.
At least you know what kind of production level you're going to get and what he brings to the table. He's a very shifty player. I like what he does on the court. He can knock down some long-range shots from time to time. He's a very solid player, but he's also been a solid player on a bad team. So you don't know if he's putting up numbers simply because someone's got to score or if because he's a budding player. I guess you can say the same about Devin Vassell. Is he a good player or does he just put up points for a bad team? But that's a type of player that is pretty an unselfish type of player who would fit in Pop's type of system. But then you look at the Blazers right now. What if you didn't have that player swap? The Blazers have the number 7 pick in 14. Would we be willing to flip the 4 for 7 and 14? Fall back a little bit, the way the Cowboys do in the draft, right?
Yeah.
They don't like if they have somebody circled. If he's not there, trade back in the draft, right? Trade back.
Yeah.
That's all. That gets you another chance
Yeah, it
at
gets
trying
you
to hit a home
two
run.
bites at the apple. I mean, that's why I
Right,
like it. Yeah.
exactly. At a lower price point as well.
Hmm.
So that would be pretty interesting. But the Blazers and the Spurs most definitely have a lot of firepower in this upcoming draft because not only do the Spurs have 4 and 8, we have 35, one of the top
Yep,
second
two
rounders
second
as well.
rounders. Yep, two second rounders. Yeah.
So my goodness, we have a
That,
lot of capital to work with this year.
Richard, thank you for that comment. That is a great point. I think that is something like I wouldn't be mad at. Definitely not. You bring in Anthony Simons and you get to pick up a number 7 pick. You're just sure, why not? I do it. I mean, the Blazers, for sure, they're looking to get more firepower to build around Scoot Henderson. Hopefully, he has a better season than he did his rookie season. But yeah, that's a great trade proposal there, Mr. Richard Balderas. We appreciate that. All right, the next comment is from, I love the name because I'm an 80s kid, Lionheart. Love that. Very good Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. So the next point or comment is from Lionheart. I don't agree with you, Lionheart, but we'll hear what Himenez has to say. Here we go. He says, no trades. Just draft the right people. So he's believing in the whole built, not bought, whole motto the Spurs have used for quite a long time. But I think they got to buck that, Lionheart. I think they got to make trades right now to get this rebuild out of the tunnel and into the light.
Yeah, it's difficult to do it just simply by the draft. I mean, I guess you can say the Warriors did it when they drafted Clay, Steph, and they drafted Draymond as well. So it is possible. I mean, the Spurs drafted Tim, Tony, and Manu, but at some point they went out there and got key free agents. I mean, famously, 2003 when Speedy Claxton ended the series down the stretch, playoff series for Tony Parker. You need to have that veteran leadership. And you think about all the veterans that the Spurs had along the way. They didn't draft them. They brought them in. It's a mixture of things. You need to have solid drafts, good free agency pickups, and a decent trade from time to time. It's a combination. It's difficult to do it all by drafting. It's difficult to do it all by trades. It's difficult to do it all by free agent pickups. You got to spin all 3 plates to be successful in the NBA. So it starts with the draft, but it does. That's the only way that you're going to get to the top because you'll never get there. You'll never get there. If you look at the Spurs' history of first rounders, we have like the successes of the Derek White and the DeJounte Murrays and along with the Tim, Tony, and Manus and all that stuff, and a draft day trade with Indiana for Kawhi. But you've got the other primo picks of the world. Was it Militinov and all of these other guys who were
they never panned out.
Who never panned out.
Ryan Richards, or that name.
It's a crapshoot, man. It's a crapshoot half the time, and especially in a draft where there may not be a superstar. But keep in mind this: we keep hearing that this is the worst draft class in over a decade. I think they say since 2014.
Yeah.
But in that draft, Giannis was picked number 15.
Absolutely.
So, there's always a star player in the draft. You just don't know where it's going to be sometimes.
Yeah. Joker was a second-round pick, and then he played behind Yusuf Nurkic in Denver.
Yeah.
You look at Manu, obviously, is another big name there. But, yeah, I mean, you definitely can find some gems in the second round. I mean, the second-round picks are highly coveted now. They're not like they used to be, like, whatever. It's like, we can find some late talent late in the draft. But, yeah, I'm sorry, Lionheart. I don't agree with you. I think the Spurs, they got to make some moves. They have to make some moves because they can't sit around for these project players. They had that luxury with Timmy, Tony, and Manu because right when they started getting going, the Spurs were trajecting up to title contenders, and you can afford that. The Spurs are not even there, so they can't afford to waste picks. If they do, well, then that's on them. I mean, Josh Primo, think about it. If things panned out, Himenez, their answer possibly to the big point guard that they covet could have been solved by now. But and it wasn't. And then, of course, the trades, they got to make trades. That's the only way. Until I see it, Himenez, a big name coming to San Antonio via free agency, I got to see it to believe it. The only way to bring these guys in is via trade. So we'll see if Brian Wright can finally do that. Hey, thanks for those comments. We appreciate that. Keep them coming during this whole offseason. You guys, we appreciate y'all leaving those comments, and we'll read them as much as we can during this, this offseason until the new season begins. Himenez, we need to know about your show on YouTube, Alamocity Sportscast Network. What's going on? Tell us all the info.
Man, we crossed over the 900 subscriber mark this past week.
Congratulations.
You were adding about 15 to 20 a week. We should be at over 1,000, and we're going to party when that happens by sometime in July. It's a fun show, man. We do sports, pop culture, nostalgia. It is just a fun time where we all get together. It's live at 10:15, ends around 11:30 to 11:45. But in that hour and a half time span, we get a lot of fun times in because there's no commercials, man. You know, we get a lot of content in there, and it's a long, free flowing show where we have people who reach in and leave comments, and it helps guide the show as well.
Yeah.
But it's a fun time. A lot of people watch it after it airs. So a lot of people are watching it at 5 p.m. or listen to it at 10 p.m., midnight, or whatever the case may be. It's a fun show. Joe Garcia does a fantastic job producing, and we talk a lot of Spurs. We talk a lot of NFL. We talk a lot of pop culture, music, movies. I mean, even today, or this week rather, we're revisiting American Pie. American Pie,
wow.
25-year anniversary of a movie that could never be made like that again.
Nope, never. Yeah, I saw that movie in the theater when it came out.
Me too.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, you get all that and more over there on the Alamocity Sportscast Network. Go on YouTube, subscribe to it right now. Make sure to follow Himenez at MJ Acquired Taste. Do that right now. Okay, so you're really going to let your goatee grow out, are you? Or are you going to shave it by the next show you have on your show?
I think I'm going to let it go till Saturday.
Oh,
and then on
no.
Father's Day, I'm going to figure out what I want to do. For every person who says they hate it, I got one person who says they love it. So
I guess the ultimate test is going to be when the ladies react to it.
Interesting point.
Maybe don't shave it off quite yet.
Going to the comedy club Friday night to go see Whitney Cummings at the LOL San Antonio Comedy Club. So let's see if I get any winks or whatnot out there.
Look at that. See, evil Jimenez is coming out. He's creeping out a little bit. He's creeping out. By the way, happy Father's Day before I let you go. So happy early Father's Day. You do a bang up job with your kids. You're a good dad. You're a good dad, Himenez. And again, everybody, make sure to follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. Hey, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about Danny Green's projection of the Spurs coming out of the rebuild in 2-3 years? Are you buying or selling? And keep those Locked On Spurs fan comments. Check out Locked On Sports today on YouTube, 24/7 streaming channel. Only on YouTube, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. Go subscribe to it right now. So from evil Michael Himenez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.